Hello. Uh, Hello. Oh, I need to start uh, muting myself. There we go. Okay, so I think we're all good to go. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure a way to get this to work with YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. So unfortunately, Twitch is not going to be around today. Unfortunately, so I'm just going to have a snack, and then I'm going to explain what I'm doing. I'm also boiling the kettle because the house is kind of cold, so I'm making a hot water bottle. So what I'm doing is, if you're a LARPer like me, you may have heard of the Berg Schneider challenge. Berg Schneider is a company that makes a lot of quite nice sort of base layers and things like that for LARPing. So like fabric clothings, cloaks as well, and things like that. And they do a competition every few months where you get a limited amount of items that are included in the challenge, and if you get one of those items, they're slightly discounted, so you can get them a little bit cheaper. But the idea is you're supposed to DIY it into something, and then the best one that they choose. Well, it's not necessarily that it's the best one; it's just the one they've chosen. There's been some really good different designs, different ideas throughout the different ones. But yeah, the winner, I should say, gets a prize of store credit of something. So I thought I would do it this time, but unfortunately, I'm 3 months late on starting because you get 6 months. So I've got until March. I think it's the end of March. I can't remember. But the items that I got this item, which is a cloak. It's completely undyed. And you can see here it ties up with a string. It's actually a pretty cool item because you can wear it like, you can decide to wear it just with this over one shoulder, and then have this really open, and then have this one like underneath your arm if you want to. You don't have to wear it like a full cloak. But I think I'm probably not going to use it the way it was designed. I'm probably going to remove this lacing situation and do something else, just because this lacing kind of feels like a shoelace, and I'm not about that. I'm not really into the shoelace. It's a cool idea, but and also because they chose an undyed beige one for the cloak thing, it was cheaper than the other items, and you can dye it any color that you like. That was the idea I had for that, was to dye it to start it off with. I'm not sure what I'll do with it afterwards. I might do some kind of embroidery, or just add a really simple, nice trim to the outside of it, to the edges. The other item I got was this, which is a coat. It's obviously small for me. It's like it's a size small, so it's not going to fit. Um, not a chance in hell is it going to fit me. But what I thought I could do is extend it, make it bigger somehow. Um, Maybe like rip it apart basically and um make it bigger. One thing I did have as an idea was I could maybe I've got this which I've been making which I oh goodness sake which I haven't finished which I didn't actually know what I was doing what I was going to do with it. It's like a piece of woven fabric um, that I've been weaving. Oh, it's so loose now because I haven't done anything with it, and because the thing I had stuck in there has fallen out, so all of the weft thread things are really loose. But that was one idea is I could use that piece of fabric that I've made somehow as like an insert. So that's one idea I have. Another idea is that this I have a bunch of this type of fake fur. Like a big bunch of it. Like bunches and bunches. I've got a whole stack of it over there from an old coat. And it's quite nice, quite soft fur. So I was thinking I could trim the front part with fur, and it will go with the theme, which is basically wrapping up warm. So those are my main ideas for what I want to do. But I also really, really, really want to try doing some fancy embroidery on the coat. I've been looking at goldwork embroidery, and I've kind of been going, ooh, I need to try this because it's all very intricate and it looks expensive, but it looks good. So goldwork is basically any embroidery where you're working with metallic threads, so something that has a metal content. And there's a specific style. You can use wires, or you can use like spangles, which are like sequins made of metal. And there's lots of different techniques used that are quite specialized. But I really want to try it. So I might try some of that for the finishing. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so I'm just gonna go pour hot water into a hot water bottle because it's cold. Right, so hot water bottle successfully obtained. So I'm not really sure where to start with this because, first of all, with the coat, I need to make the arms bigger, and I also need to add more volume in the chest. So I can either use that woven fabric that I've kind of woven, or I can try and make the coat shorter, cut it off at the bottom, and then use fabric from the bottom of the coat. That is another option. And it's probably going to be the better option because I know that fabric's going to, you know, react the same as the other fabric. Whereas the woven fabric, I have no idea how that's going to um, work. I don't even know how I would sew it together because I've not really. It's my first piece of woven fabric that I've ever woven. Woven doesn't sound like a word anymore. So I have options. If I decide to use the woven fabric, I could make a panel in the back of the coat and use it there. And if I was going to do that, I'd probably sew the woven panel onto a backing fabric of some kind, just to make it maybe a little bit easier to work with. That could work. But also, I have to make sure that whatever amount of fabric I add in is going to be the right amount and it's not going to end up swamping me. With the arms, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the arms and make them detachable sleeves. Just because I think it will be easier to make detachable sleeves that are kind of designed to have a gap in the armpit, rather than trying to add extra fabric into the arm. And that way I can make it so that the sleeves lace up or something, so that it looks like it's a feature rather than a bug. Yeah. So my plan for today is to, first of all, get this out of the way, because I'm not going to be doing anything with this until it's dyed. Oops. And I'll probably be detaching the arms from the coat first, because I think once I've got the arms as detachable sleeves, then I can work on the actual coat itself, and see what we're working with. Because once I've took the arms off, I'll be able to see how much extra room, how many extra inches I need to be adding into the garment. Chances are I'll probably have to make the thing shorter somehow and then figure out a way of using some fabric from the bottom of the coat. Sorry for the eating sounds, but I'm hungry. I've just got back from work not that long ago and then started immediately looking for materials and stuff. So I haven't really stopped. So this is the coat. One thing I would have to think about if I was going to add a panel in the back, in like the centre back, is that there's like a if I move you forwards, actually, you might be able to see a bit better. There's like a collar, not a collar, but like, I guess you would call it a collar. It's not a standing collar. It's like a flat. Would you call that a collar, or would you call it a? There's a word for that. Where you have something attached to it. I've been at work. My brain is turned to mush. But yeah, this bit, I would have to figure a way of detaching it, attaching more stuff, more fabric, and then reattaching it in a way that it's gonna still work. So that might prove difficult. It might make more sense to not mess about with the centre back of this and try to add in at the sides, like under where the armpit would be. I mean, yeah, there's really no way of doing that with what fabric's actually in there. I could make it so that it's lace up the, like, this part. So you could probably get about an extra couple of inches each side doing that. I'm not sure how many inches each side I need, though. If I do that, if I make the sides so that it's possible to lace them up, and then I add additional something to the front, that could work. But again, then I would have to add the same into the back of the neck, wouldn't I? Because it's all attached. Unless I do it like, add it like at an angle, and then at an angle going forward so it comes to a point in the back. That could be interesting. It would be a bit of a strange kind of collar. Basically, I'm just figuring things out at the moment. So, in any case, this, I don't know what I did with my cozy for my hot water bottle, and now it's burning my legs. Okay, so I need to get a move on and actually do something. We're procrastinating the starting. We've made the plan, we've gotten all of the stuff ready for doing the thing, and now we have to get to the actual doing, which is like terrifying. Also, I'm going to move all this food because I've got those. Yeah, I'm going to move those away because I have a feeling that the cat is going to come and try and eat it. I've just put crumbs all over my new coat. Lovely, 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 lovely. It's going to have a lovely patina of Scotch egg. Lovely. Right, okay. So, hot water bottle, self-heating device. Right, and so we're doing the thing. We're ripping the arms off. We're gonna do it, right? So I think what I will do is I will turn it partially inside out to make it easier. And it's all very nicely finished on the inside, which is a shame that I'm gonna have to rip it all apart. But it's not going to fit me, so this is what we have to do. Nicely overlocked and whatnot. Wait, should I have been doing the overlocked bit? Probably not. I probably should have been doing this bit, right? Yes. Although it seems like it's been overlocked onto the actual thing. Oh, it's because it's like a triple stitch thing. A triple line, 3 lines of stitches. Okay, it might actually be easier to stitch rip this from the front then, to start with. Okay, yeah, this is gonna go easier. I'm just going to try and take my time with it though, because I don't want to put holes in the fabric that don't want to already be there, you know? Oh, ow. Oh, I know what I can do. I'll lay this over my legs, and then I'll lay that in it. And then I won't burn myself as much. Cunning, right. Okay, so by the way, if you can hear water running, I'm not urinating. It's not that kind of channel. The cat has a water fountain and it's right next to me, so that's what that trickling sound is. So if I have to escape, it's because that thing's made me need to go pee. Okay, yeah, this is going a bit easier. So I'm basically just running the stitch unpicker or stitch ripper, whichever name you give it, just running it between this hem and the sleeve itself fabric. So it's like the way they've done it is they've kind of turned the hem and then they've turned the other thing into it, so it's all like it's like folded like this kind of thing. All the fabric's folded together. So it makes it a really strong, like a really strong connection between the two pieces of fabric. It's a good construction technique, especially on somewhere like an arm, because obviously it's going to get a lot of movement and such. So, as well, even because it's been stitched in more than one place, these two things that's stitched, if you're looking at it like there, if you imagine that my other hand, like I've got 2 pieces of fabric and that's what the hands are, the hand is still there. It's stitched across here and then across there, so across the nails and across the knuckles kind of thing. So it's 2 rows of stitches next to each other. So I'll have to do this and then I'll do it again on the other row of stitches to remove all the stitches that are on there. So it's going to be time consuming, but it will be worth it. It's better than just going in and cutting with scissors. You don't want to cut the sleeve off with scissors. That would be a bad idea. The reason why that would not be a good idea is because then you're going to have a piece of fabric sticking out and you'll have extra bulk in the shoulder. or if you cut along just in front of it, you're gonna lose fabric. You know, you probably can't see very well because the webcam I'm using is a bit blurry, but yeah. Basically, I'm just being careful to take a few stitches at a time, but not too many, like 3 or 4 stitches. And you're just basically putting the sharp piece. I'm using a tool like this. This is what it looks like. If you've not seen or used one of these before, it's like that. And you put the sharp pointy bit between the 2 pieces of fabric, like in the crevice, and you run it underneath the stitches and it just rips them open, basically. So, pretty useful tool to have. I couldn't find mine for ages, so I bought some more. Because I never know where anything is. Everything goes missing. I am not an organised person at all. Hopefully that will change at some point in my life, but I haven't got there yet, unfortunately. So there we go. Almost there. Oh, I just made a mistake. Oops. If you stab it through the fabric, it's not a huge problem. Just be careful not to rip the fabric. So if you realise that you've gone through the fabric, just stop and go backwards, back out the way you came in, and don't push it anymore. And hopefully it won't have made too much of a hole. And then just slow down. Don't get too rip happy. It can be quite fun to do because you're essentially destroying something, and I can be a destructive person sometimes. Sometimes you just need to break things, rip things apart. Maybe I should talk to a therapist about that, but no. I'm sure it's fine. Okay, so I hope that's not copyrighted. Probably is, right? I should probably stop singing it then. Right, okay, so I've done 1 line of stitches all around. The other line of stitches is now revealed, so because you've just took 1 line off. So you open the little flap that this created, and you will see the next line of stitches. See, looks like this. So now I can start ripping those ones, and that will hopefully have entirely removed the sleeve. We hope. And then you have to clean all of the little bits of thread off of the fabric because there's going to be a bunch of little threads. So if I have to, what I could do is not put the sleeves back on at all. I could use the sleeves as extra fabric to put in to the thing and have this be a sleeveless thing. Which could be cool. I mean, it can be cool to have like just no sleeves and then you have your billowing pirate shirt coming out, or whatever other shirt you've got, or you have a contrasting kirtle or something underneath. So that could be an option. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try the sleeve on when it's not on the garment and see if it feels like it's a comfortable size on its own without me doing anything to it. And then we'll see what we think. Because, you know, if I can get away with not doing much, then I will do that. I am lazy. Right, okay. Oh, there we go. So, yes, so these have been kind of overlocked together in places a little bit. So that's just gonna need a little bit of extra care to remove this part from that part. So oh, ow, I just stabbed my thumb and it hurts. So I recently have been getting really into playing Elden Ring, and my brain is telling me go play Elden Ring, but I don't want to because I want to actually make at least a little bit of progress with this. So if I do this, it's going to open up that a little bit, but that's not a problem because we don't know if that is going to stay there anyway, so it should be fine. So I've gone all the way down from there, and then I'm going to go all the way back up and over to the other side, because that will probably be easier. Yes, okay. So it's like I have to do 3 lines of stitching, basically, because there's the overlocking part was stitched on, and then they've stitched like through the middle, and then they've stitched the edge down so that it like sits nice and flat. So they obviously take a lot of care in producing these. It's almost a shame, really, to rip it apart like this, but that is the purpose of this whole thing. So, oops, that's where I ripped through a little bit. Okay. It is quite tempting to just rip, and sometimes you can do it a little bit, but you have to be careful, especially if it's a fabric that's not quite as sturdy. So rip the stitches, you know, like just rip them. I think it's probably more of a clever thing to do to just slowly unpick them so that you don't damage everything. You can pull it apart a little bit just so that you can see what you're doing, but just be careful not to rip the garment apart, basically. And tear the fabric. I think I'll just go along here for a bit and then do the underside once I've got a bit more freed up. That bit wasn't quite caught on the last bit because there's a hole. So whoever sewed this garment, I'm so sorry for destroying all your hard work, but it's got to be done because I'm fat. And my gigantic Godzilla arms are not gonna get through. Actually, Godzilla has small arms. Who has big arms? I don't know. My Hulk arms, there we go. My She-Hulk arms are not gonna fit in this. So, do. It is a shame that this wouldn't work for Twitch as well as YouTube and Facebook. I'm sure I've done it before where it's done all three, but for some reason it wouldn't work this time. So, weird. Very weird. I'm wondering if I should have made tea. I do have a fizzy orange drink, which I will hold in a really unflattering way so that you can't see the name on it. They aren't sponsoring me, so there we go. I'm sure this is so fascinating. Just seeing me ripping the sleeves off of something, but there we go. It's keeping me accountable for actually starting the thing. Right, okay, so it's just attached in a couple of areas now. So I need to go in here and rip these stitches here. There we go. And then here. Right, I should be able to, yeah, I should be able to do it from here. There we go. And then twist it around. Nearly got the thing off. Okay, where is this attached? Here. There! One sleeve detached from the garment. Now we've got to do all of that again for the other one. First though, I'm gonna get my arm out of my jumper. And oh, this is the wrong arm, I think. Is it? Yes. Get my arm out of this side of the jumper. And I'm gonna put my arm in this sleeve and see. You see, if it's detached, I think it might be alright. I might have to add something to the top. Still feels tight actually, a little bit. Feels loose at the bottom and tight at the top. I could make this opening a little bit bigger, so kind of angle that down a bit. So I would be like doing that. I don't know. So basically splitting that open a little bit could work. So in any case, this will need hemming at the top. Yeah, it does feel really tight at the top. I got the big arms, unfortunately. So I can either open the bottom and try and put lacing there, or I could put lacing along the top, which I think looks nicer usually if the lacing is along the top. Or I could put it along the front, so it goes like down here. That could be interesting. Just so that I can make it bigger. Or I could just reuse this fabric in the bodice and not have sleeves. That is also an option. We could just not have sleeves, and we could put that fabric into this, and then it would fit me better. So make like a panel under the arm and just insert it in there. It would have to it'd have to be like a triangular panel. I don't know what that would be. It's not a dart, it's like an opposite of a dart. An undart. Like a... I don't know what that would be called. It would be a panel, but it would be like a triangular panel. So, don't know what that would be. Could do that. And that would make this whole section a little bit bigger. I could also make it go down quite far, actually, if I was to do that. I could do some piecing, so it would be like an amount, and then use half of the arm, and then use the other half down here somehow. I don't know. Should I do that? Should I not have sleeves? Sleeves are nice though. They keep your arms warm. But I'm thinking if these are so tight, I won't be able to fit them over something with long sleeves anyway. I think I might do away with the sleeves. I think that might be what I'm gonna do. I could even add this into, like, if I take this off, I could add it into the front instead of adding it under here. Or I could add a piece here and a piece in the front going all the way down. So Hmm. Hmm. Or I could. I don't know, guys. I don't know. To sleeve or not to sleeve? That is the question. What do we think? I'm thinking no sleeves. Sod it. I'm thinking no sleeves. Because as well, I can always put a jumper or something else warm on underneath this. And then it also makes it wearable in the summer because it has no sleeves. So I could wear it over something lighter and it would be wearable, you know? So I think that's what I'm going to do. So, no sleeves means I need to, first of all, I need to take the other sleeve off anyway. And then I need to tidy all this up because there's threads everywhere. And then I need to figure out how I'm going to make the whole thing bigger and add that extra fabric in. But yeah, if I take the sleeves off, I can definitely use the sleeve fabric. And that also means that I can keep the length of the coat, probably, because I'm not using fabric from the bottom. I'm using the sleeves. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. And also then I'm not like, I know this fabric doesn't really have a direction as such, but if I was to take off from the bottom, I would have to use the opposite, like the horizontal, instead of, I'll use the horizontal as a vertical, which is not going to necessarily be a good thing in the long run. So for like the stretch of the fabric, it's going to be different. So yeah, I think this is going to work better. So we're taking the sleeves off. And we're keeping the sleeves off. And if I decide later that I don't like it without sleeves, I can always make sleeves in a different contrasting fabric if I want to have extra sleeves or something, you know. That is a thing that I could do. I do quite like the kind of sleeveless coat look anyway, like a sleeveless vest type thing. I think they're quite versatile bits of kit because they're good for layering. So yeah, and I do have a nice kind of undercut type thing, under tunic, that would look nice with a sleeveless coat thrown over it. So, oop, just stabbed myself. So yeah, I've got options if I do this. Also, that could make it a cool thing if I was to put like fur around these armholes, like having fur poking out. That could be a cool design feature. Yeah, so I'm thinking of embellishments before I've even gotten started on the sewing, which is just so me. That's very typically me. But yeah, this could work. This can work. So we are first of all, removing the sleeves. Completely removing the sleeves. And then I'm probably going to have to unpick the bottom part of the sleeve, and probably unpick the sleeve cuff so that we've got it all separated into separate pieces of fabric, because then I will see what fabric I have to work from, and I can basically draft up what I can add in and what shapes I need to add the right shape into the sides. So yeah. In fact, it's the sleeve cuff. The sleeve cuff is like the same size as the collar thing as well. So if I needed to add a little bit of an extra triangle of fabric in the back of the coat, I could use a sleeve cuff possibly to add a bit of extra something in the back of the collar, because I think it's the same size. But what I'll probably try doing is adding in some extra fabric to the sides first, and then working on that front, seeing how much I would be able to add on the front. And then if I know that I'm not going to be able to add in enough just by adding some fur to the front, then I'll before I do that, I'll add in some in the back as well, if I've got any fabric left over. So this is a big job, but you know, when you're 2 sizes too big for the item, the small size was the only one that they had, and I really liked the colour, so I was just like, oh, I'll figure out a way to DIY it so that it fits me. That is, after all, the challenge. The point of the challenge is to do something with it and make it into something else, which I'm certainly going to be doing. Hopefully I manage to actually finish it on time. I have a tendency to start a project and then not finish it, or take a really long time to finish it, even if somebody else has asked me to do it for them. I am a menace. Yeah. To be fair, if it was my job, then I would probably spend more actual time on things, and spend more of my time doing sewing. If I was earning money, like considerable amounts of money, like an hourly rate, then yeah. But no, this is not my job. I do it for fun. I occasionally take commissions, but that's very occasionally. I don't often take commissions for that reason. Right, so I need to unpick there and there, because it's all very, where they attach the last bit in here, it's very difficult to see what you're doing, so I'm going to do that. That makes it a bit easier. Right, so now second row of stitches, I think. Yes. So yeah, the reason why, going back to what I was saying before, was that I was going to be maybe trying some gold work embroidery on this. Reason for that is that I saw some of the close-ups of the embroidery for costumes in Game of Thrones years ago, when obviously when it was on the telly, and throughout that they were always absolutely stunning costumes. And in particular, the embroidery always really struck me as being amazing. And they use gold work. They heavily use gold work, and they don't do traditional gold work. They do very sort of experimental gold work with lots of very 3D designs and kind of uh, things where they use perspective and stuff like that. Very very clever, and lots of different materials for like different textures and stuff, and lots of different techniques all in one piece. And they're all these amazing wearable pieces of art essentially. And I was thinking it would be cool to have something um uh maybe not as good as that, but on a level with maybe something like that, something that has a sort of an allusion to that style, or that not that style, but that kind of level of thought and whatnot put into it, and detail, and lots of detail. Um, that was my thinking anyway. Um, so I do enjoy embroidery. I do enjoy embroidery. And I think it would be cool to have uh, something that looks like really super fancy. um, yeah, even though most of my characters are not fancy at all, not even in the slightest. It would be good to have something that makes me look like a really fabulous, important person. Most of my characters are kind of I don't know. They You wouldn't be surprised if they just rolled out of a bush. Or either that, or they're just drunk all the time. Yeah, that's most of my characters have an element of either one of those things. So, um, except for my D&D character is completely different. My D&D character is very, very much a fancy girl, and she likes to have the finer things in life. She's a bard. um, Say that though, my LARP bard is completely not like that. She lives in the bin because she's a fox. So, um, but yeah, I don't know what character I would use this for. Um, maybe I would use it for Piper, the bin living one. But I would have to figure out a way of making it fancy but not too fancy. Maybe look like something that literally was found thrown away somewhere that's then been embellished somehow. Um but yeah. I don't think red is really her colour so much though. She's more of a blue, green, white, and orange kind of girl. Um those are the colours that I've gone with for Piper. I don't really have anyone that uses like a blood red. I suppose Ashling does a little bit because her tattoos are red, but and the hair obviously is red, but I don't know. I don't know what I would use this for. Perhaps a new LARP that I haven't been to yet. Sometimes it is just nice to just make a thing and not have a specific purpose in mind for it. And then at some point I could make a character based around this one item of clothing that I really want to wear. You know? It do be like that sometimes. Sometimes you just want to make something and you don't want to make something in the same style as all of your other things for your other characters because you already have their stuff sorted and you don't really want any more stuff in that vein. But also I am a hoarder, so there is that. I am a hoarder of things, as with any crafter and any LARPer, I am a hoarder of things. So we have almost gotten to the end of this, removing the second sleeve. And then once I've done that, I will be able to put this on without the sleeves on and see how much extra room I need in like the eye department, the armhole. And whether I need to add, how much I need to add to the sides. So if I add some into the sides, I won't have to add as much in to the front, if anything, you know. There we go. Let's have it come off. And this last piece is very well stuck on there. Taking care not to treat the fabric too badly. Right, second arm is off. What is that? Something gross. Ew. So, if I have this on, it's just going to be like this, basically. These parts are just going to reach the side of my boobs, which is not ideal. I'm just going to put it on over my jumper. And you'll be able to see how much this does not fit. Ugh. So there is, I would say, about 6 inches that I need to add in. So 3 inches on each side. If I can manage to get 3 inches all the way down, that would be more preferable. And then if I can make it so that it not tapers in, but tapers outwards towards the bottom, that would actually work better. Because it would kind of be like a panel plus a godet kind of situation. So if I was to do that, it would be this part. This is the arm here. The arm was there, and then I would have to basically unpick along there and threads, and then unpick possibly just down to just past the waist and then add in a triangle, or I would have to pick all the way down and put like 3 inches of fabric all the way down, basically like a strip. What I could also do, another possibility, is I could add the 3 inches here, but then also, but then just do a triangle so that it's only down to like the waist or something, and then add in an additional something down the front, like a strip. But I don't know how I would do that. It would have to come in. I guess it would have to go here. Not sure. Not sure how I would do that. Answers on a postcard. So I personally also think that the shoulder area doesn't feel like super comfortable when you put it on. So even with extra under the arms, it might not be like super comfortable on the shoulders. So let me just try. Let me try this on again. I'll have a think. So that needs to be more open for sure. Oh no, maybe it's all right in the back actually. The back feels not too bad. So if I just added extra into the sides and then added the fur into the front like I was thinking, because the sides will give me a little bit of extra something in the middle. I think it needs to go past my hips though, in fact, because this doesn't go very far, so maybe it does need to go all the way down. So yeah, I think we will add a strip of maybe 3 inches, maybe a bit more. If I can add 4 inches on each side, that will give me 8 inches. Which, I mean, 8 inches is enough for anybody, really. Oh dear. So, oh dear, I'm gonna be tickled by that now. Right, so I think this is about probably 4 inches. So each sleeve. So what I'll have to do is I will deconstruct the sleeves a bit further, figure out a way to insert a long strip to each side, and then we'll see if it fits a little bit better, and then see about adding fur. I might not get to do all this in one day, but that's fine. I may only end up doing the deconstruction phase of this because it's a lot. But we will see. We will see what happens. Oh, that's my watch telling me someone is live. But I'm live, so that's more important right now to me. Okay. So I just got my holiday booked, so I've got some holidays coming up. Not going anywhere. Before anyone tries to come and rob me, because I will be at home playing Elden Ring. But basically the week after my birthday. I wanted the weekend of my birthday, but I couldn't get it off, unfortunately, so Somebody else already had it off. So I have the week after, and I think I took 2 weeks off because I need to use up my holidays. Um, and I've got some time off in April as well. So should be fun. And this actually is going a little bit quicker because the way I'm undoing it, because it's not attached to another piece of fabric, I can just kind of open like that, and then I'm actually slipping this between or underneath all of the stitches on, so I'm doing not just this line of stitches, but I'm doing the line behind it as well, so it's going a little bit more quickly because I'm essentially unpicking 2 rows of stitches at the same time. Yeah, so this is going well. So what I'll have to do is I'll unpick this, and then I'll probably have to unpick that sleeve cuff to get another piece of fabric. And there's going to definitely be some piecing going on in this by the time I finished with it. If I end up with not enough to do the whole length of the garment, I may end up cutting it a little bit shorter. And if that happens, I'll have extra fabric to do something with, which is always nice. I can do some sleeve cuffs or something, and add them to a different garment. It's good to keep hold of fabric that you've used for something for a project, because then if you are doing something else and you know that you're going to want to wear them together, you can do like a little detail somewhere with the fabric of the other garment, and it will help it match together. It will be like a nice little thing that wraps the 2 garments together, and it shows that, like, you know, they were made for the same person, I guess, or made at the same time or a similar time. Yeah. So, as well, because even like if we're talking in more of a sort of reenactment sense of things, people wouldn't just throw away fabric that they had. You would get one bolt of fabric, one big bolt of fabric, and you would make everybody's clothes in your whole family out of that fabric. And if you have any left over, you would use it to make something else with. You'd make mittens or something. You wouldn't just throw it away, you would use it for something. And if it's new fabric, you would make something new with it. You wouldn't just turn it into like a washcloth or something. That would be for old clothes. Speaking of things that you would do with old clothes, one of the things that I've gotten really into is sashiko mending, or it's sometimes called boro mending, but that's, I think, a specific kind of sashiko with the indigo dyed fabrics. So I hesitate to call it sashiko because even though that is the method that I use, I'm obviously not Japanese. I've never been to Japan, and I haven't been trained to do it by a Japanese person, so I'd be hesitant to call it that because I don't have the proper technique, and I don't use the same materials. But that's kind of what it's inspired by. So it's basically if you get a hole or a rip in your garment, you get a patch, and then you do like a running stitch, and the technique is a little bit different to how we would do a running stitch. So instead of putting the needle through the fabric like that, you would put the fabric over the needle and kind of press the fabric onto the needle rather than press the needle into the fabric, if that makes sense. And then you would pull through a bunch of stitches at the same time, basically. And it's a very quick way of sewing, if you're doing a running stitch anyway. But basically you would do a bunch of rows of stitches, and it makes the area where you've patched very, very sturdy. So that is one technique that I might also use somewhere in the garment. Maybe even where I'm attaching the extra panels. That could look cool. So instead of disguising the fact that there's extra panels there, I could add some running stitches to strengthen it and also make a feature out of it. That could be interesting. I think I will have to unpick this straight away off of the cuff because it is in the way. Ugh. Okay. So I actually really like taking clothes that are perfectly good as they are and then DIYing them into something else rather than actually making them from scratch. I'm not the best at working to a pattern, but I am quite good at altering what's already there, if that makes sense. So, yeah, you have to work to your strengths with these things. Not everybody can understand or work to patterns well. I think for me, I do like to kind of wing it a little bit sometimes. And yeah, that's not always the best thing, but it does sometimes work. Yeah. So do. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Eventually, we will have just some flat pieces of fabric in various shapes that have just been deconstructed and torn apart. Eventually, that's what we will be left with once we've unpicked everything. Maybe I should have used a bigger unpicker. Might try using a bigger one because I've got. Where are they? So I have. These ones are bigger. I could use this one. I think this is more for like leather though. I'm slightly worried that if I use it, it's gonna rip the fabric. It's giant. Could try it. Oh, I'm kind of scared to use this. Yeah, no, I'm not going to use that. It's too big. Was worth a go though. But yeah. I think the small one's a little bit too small and the big one is just way too big. And I think I'd rather have a little bit too small than way too big. Why am I getting all these flipping innuendos today? Oh dear. Oh dear. What am I like? Right. I'm getting less and less precise and less neat with ripping these things apart. So it's also a good exercise to see how things are constructed. So the sleeve cuffs, they've just basically folded a strip of like a rectangle basically, and then stitched it round, and that's the sleeve cuff. um, they haven't been super careful with the attaching the sleeve cuff compared to how attaching the sleeve on the shoulder was, but it gets a little bit less wear and tear, so you don't have to be super careful, and also you don't want too much bulk in there, so I think that's how they've decided to not have, how they've basically figured out to not get too much bulk in the the cuff area, so it's a bit more flat. Just get rid of my random bits of thread. So it doesn't look like anyone's watching right now. However, because I'm doing this on the YouTubes, it will record it for posterity. Is that right? Posterity or poster? No, it's posterity. Sometimes I forget how to talk, how to say words, and sometimes I just shouldn't say words at all. But here we are. Do do do. Do do do. And in case any of you are thinking, that looks like a really big cozy jumper, it is, but this is the coldest room in the house and I am basically freezing. Other than my lap, which is boiling hot because of the hot water bottle that I have put on my lap. Just got to try and remember to pronounce my T's. Hot water bottle. Oh dear. So what time is it? 6:39. My tootsies are cold. How long have we been streaming for, first of all? Oh, it's been an hour and a half. Nice. Doot. And doot. Well, I'm not finished just yet. I at least want to deconstruct the sleeves and then Then I want to think about what shape I need to make things for the actual extra fabric that I'm putting into the thing. And I also, what I might do is I might change the streaming from Facebook to Twitch after a break. Because anyone that was going to watch from Facebook would have been on already. And if I go on Twitch, then I'm more likely to get some random views from random people. Whereas my Facebook is just my personal friends list. And as lovely as you all are, you're not here, so yeah, so if you are watching a recorded thing and it suddenly stops, the rest of it will probably be on YouTube. That's my guess. Maybe on a separate video, because I'll probably have to stop streaming then to start a new stream on Twitch afterwards. Yeah, because I don't think this is actually on Twitch at the moment. It's just on Facebook and YouTube's. Oh, I'm so close to being finished with this sleeve. This one sleeve. And then we can see how much fabric we're working with. Right. Almost there. There's so much random little annoying threads. So I'm gonna have to pick them all off somehow and throw them away so that the cat doesn't eat them, because I don't want her to get poorly. And don't know if you know about this, but if cats or an animal eats a piece of thread, basically that piece of thread, if they ate that, when it goes through their intestines, it will pull the intestines like a drawstring. And if there is any polyester in this, which probably there is, to be honest, although I don't know, it might be fully cotton, it's not going to dissolve in the stomach. So likely it would get to the intestines and turn it into a drawstring, which can tear the intestines up and be really nasty. So don't let your pets get hold of string or thread or anything like that. Cat is very much not allowed in the room with all the craft stuff, because there's a lot of threads in there that she could eat, and I really don't want her to get poorly. She tried to get in there earlier and I had to firmly pick her up by the scruff of the neck and put her outside the door and said no, which she was not very happy about. But it's for her own safety as well, because that room is not tidy. It's disorganized. There's stacks of boxes everywhere, and she could jump on something and then fall and hurt herself. So even just that could be a danger to her. So yeah, it's for her own safety. But yeah, because the door is open, she wants to go in there though. Not open, sorry, the door is closed. The door is closed and she can't get in, so she wants to go in there. But tough, I'm afraid. Not allowed. It's a no cat zone. this part is not coming apart. I'm wondering how this is attached, where it's like they've gone over it like multiple times in this small area here. They've gone backwards over it because it's really well stuck on there. There we go. I found the stitches. I can unpick them. There we go. So that's the cuff, which we can probably open up in a minute. That's the sleeve. That is one sleeve flatted out. Yes, one sleeve. Now I could, if I wanted to be really cheeky, I could turn this into a pattern of a sleeve. It would be too small for me though. I would have to like widen it at the top and maybe draw an extra little bit over the top of the sleeve, like an extra inch or something. And at the side. Yeah, oh, that's interesting. It's not quite straight. It's like slightly bowed at the sides. That could just be because it's a wool and it's slightly stretched. But yeah, so piece of fabric. We can use this. We can use this to make some extra space in the garment. And what I'll probably do is I would have to try and figure out a way to make some exactly the same size panels somehow. I guess I could do everything that I'm gonna do for one side with one sleeve, and the other one will have to be the other sleeve, if that makes sense. So that way I know that I'm using the same amount of fabric. And I would have to, the sleeve is wider this end, so if I want to make the bottom wider, I could use that to my advantage somehow. Although I was thinking just make it a strip the same size all the way down. Might work better. I'm not sure. I guess if I just cut it in half though, and then I would have to, so if I cut it in half and flatten the edge off so that I would lose this much fabric, and then this would go yeah, so I might be able to get just about enough to fit the whole thing if I lay that out like that, and I can see. And like I say, I may need to make the thing shorter slightly, but that's not a huge problem if I do. Hmm. Hmm. So yeah, I would need to essentially cut this shoulder roundage bit off. I would need to cut along there and make a slightly it would be like a slightly rounded, slightly straight line, I guess. Yeah, like that. And then I would flip it maybe and then cut down on the other side, on the other end. So I would need to cut this in half. What I could do, so that I know exactly how much space I need in each side, is I could let the sides out by unpicking them and then just see how I can position the front part of the garment so that it seems to fit more around the chest. And around the hips. I could do that. First, second sleeve needs ripping apart. Fun, 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 fun. See, 90% of sewing clothes is really, really tedious. And this is why I don't do it very often. I don't do it as often as I should. I do like it. When I say it's tedious, I don't mean that I don't enjoy doing it, because I do. I do enjoy doing it. But it is long and tedious work. It takes a very long time, and you're just doing the same repetitive action over and over. And right now, I don't have any other entertainment other than talking to a screen and stabbing this material over and over. So yeah, that's why it can be tedious. Yeah, so I think probably what I'm going to do is I'll unpick this sleeve, and then I will have a break for food, because one cannot live upon a packet of ready salted crisps. See, I can't even speak anymore. One cannot survive on crisps alone. And I need to eat something and probably have a cup of tea. Maybe something more substantial than that. And then I will probably try to stream on Twitch for a bit. Yep. And itchy nostrils. Yeah. See if I get any audience. We'll see. But I just basically wanted to do this so that I would have a record of what I have done for my costume challenge. And unfortunately I don't have like an overhead camera that points at what I'm doing, so you have to look at my face. How sad for you. My tired old face. But I'm wearing the bright pink jumper so it distracts from the dark circles. Yeah, it's all a ruse. Okay, so do. My watch keeps vibrating, so that's fun. What are people saying to me? What? Okay. Nothing important right now. Okay. Thankfully, the sleeves are going a little bit faster because you can do all the stitches, both lines of stitches at the same time. It is a little bit risky doing it this way because you're more likely to make a mistake, but I like to live on the edge sometimes. Also, the problem with unpicking stitches and then reusing fabric that's already had stitches in it is that you're going to have holes where those stitches were. So it is going to be slightly weaker in those areas. So that is something that you have to take into account when using fabric that's already, been used for something else. But that's where things like sashiko stitching can come in handy because you're using stitches, very visible stitches and lots of rows of stitches in order to strengthen it, and strengthen those parts where it's a little bit more delicate. So yeah, I'm really liking the sachiko style of mending these days. I've used it quite a bit in my costumes because I think it has a really nice texture to it, and it just has that well used, well loved, and mended kind of thing. And I love the history behind it. I mean, I don't love the history because it's very sad, really. It's people were struggling and suffering, and fabrics were expensive. It was in a time of the depression, basically in Japan, and people didn't have very much and were struggling financially a lot. So instead of throwing away anything, obviously you wouldn't throw anything away. You would just repair and mend things. And this was one way of looking after those precious pieces of fabric, basically. So you would have, you would keep any extra fabric for mending, and you would have these amazing coats. They look amazing with all the different fabrics and different textures on them. But you'd have one coat that you would have for years, and in fact, it would be handed down, because you wouldn't get rid of it. You would hand it down to somebody else, and then they would add their own fabrics into it, and they'd be like these patchwork coats, basically, or kimonos. You would have all these. I suppose they wouldn't be kimonos because they're more informal. They'd be yukatas or something like that. But yeah, so they would basically use the stitches to strengthen the fabric that's already there. And it was often a method used by in the clothing of farmers or fishermen, would use it a lot. And it was a way of also thickening the fabric, because you would have layers and layers and layers of fabric from the different patches. So you would layer these patches of thin material, and it would make it thicker and make it warmer, because they have cold winters over there. And that was one of the things that people could do to keep warm, was layer their clothing, and even have lots of layers in one garment, so that it's a padded garment, basically. Yeah, very interesting. And never know, it could be a reality again. Something like that could happen. You never know what could happen. So having these ancient techniques for preserving what you have and keeping warm, and making use of things rather than throwing them away, I think it's a very worthwhile thing to know about. And I'm sorry as well for my terrible Japanese pronunciation. I do not speak Japanese. I know a few phrases, and I don't think I pronounce any of them correctly. I wouldn't want to insult somebody by trying to speak Japanese with them, because they would probably not understand what I'm saying and just give up and say, no, can you speak English, please? I am actually learning how to speak a couple of languages at the moment. Japanese is not one of them. I'm learning Polish, because obviously Jacob's Polish. And it's funny, I say I'm learning Polish, and I still say his name as Jacob and not Jakub, because I've always called him Jacob, because that's how he introduced himself to me, even though that's not how you say his name. But yeah, so I'm learning Polish, and I'm also learning German, because I learned it in school. And I remember a few bits and pieces. So I was thinking it would be good to try and start again and learn it properly. And also because Jacob also knows how to speak German. To an extent, anyway. He's not as fluent as he is with English, but he can speak it, but he can't read it, apparently. But yeah, I think that's still impressive, personally. I think being able to speak another language is a really cool thing. It's very useful. Yeah, so I'm learning that, and I'm also learning a little bit of Swedish, but that's not as much. I'm going a bit more slowly with that. Swedish has a lot of similar things with German, I've found. And actually a lot of similar things with English. So weirdly. So it's quite an easy one to learn. It's not too bad. Although I've only gotten around the basics. And also it's kind of harder for me to learn Swedish because I don't know any Swedes. Ow, just stabbed myself. Yeah, with the Polish, it's gonna be the easiest one for me to learn at the moment because I live with two Polish men. And I can do a little bit of conversing to try and learn a bit better. And with German, I at least have Jacob who knows how to speak it, so I can do a bit of speaking with him. And I do have family friends who are German, but I'm not really in contact with them so much. My mum is, but I'm not. But yes. There we go. And that is that one open and completely flattened out. Huzzah! My finger hurts now because I stabbed myself. So we have another sleeve, which would be the mirror image of the other one. Should be. I'm going to open these cuffs out as well, just because I feel like having that extra bit of fabric, it might help if I need it, you know. So I'm going to do that. Right. Let's see. Because it's flat, it's kind of difficult to find a place where I can rip it open easily. There we go. This bit maybe. Try that. Oh, this bit might be easy to just... Yeah. This one I'm going to just rip open because it's quick and easy. So you can see the inner construction of this. What they've done is they have taken a loop like this when they've done just a running stitch, and then they've pressed it down so that the seams are flat. They've folded it over, and then they've basically stitched it on as it is. A very simple construction for these ones. So I'm going to take these apart. This cuff. So yeah, like I say, this is a good experience as well if you're not sure about too much about clothing construction. If you deconstruct it, you will see which constituent parts make up the garment and how they're all attached together. So that can be a good experience for if you're very new to sewing. Obviously, I'm not very new. Wouldn't say I'm an experienced sewer, although I have been paid for it. I did used to work in a textiles factory, not making clothes, but yeah, I used to work as an overlocker basically, so I would overlock things, curtains mostly, so it's all straight lines, very 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 easy, but also things for sofas, things like that. There's quite a lot of furniture textiles in this area, so yeah, so I'm just going to pick that bit off. And those smaller pieces I'll get sorted later. But yeah, so not so bad. So we have this one. In fact, that's pretty perfect, that size. If I wanted to add, I could add these two pieces together. I could sew this onto the top of this, well, what would be, so this is the cuff, right? If I turn it this way, which it means that it's folding this way instead of this way. I mean, the warp and the weft, there isn't really warp and a weft on this so much. It is woven, but they're kind of the same. They have the same stretch to them. That's a little bit less stretchy, I suppose, than this. But, so really you would want it to be that way, I guess. But, like, that might be the right length, and it's about the right width. So, and people would piece like this, like, put it the wrong way round, just because that's the only bit that they had. So it is a historically accurate thing to do. I could put it in the middle, even, to get the maximum of the length. If I was to do that, I would put that, and then I would make it go all the way out to the outsides. So I was getting the maximum amount of space. Remember as well that you've got hems, so I would have probably about that much. So that's more like 2.5 inches rather than 3 if I was to use this piece. I'm just placing it on my body to see if it will, where it will come down to. So it comes down to about just past my natural waist, and with hems it would be probably my waist. No, it's just past my natural waist. My natural waist is here, so it's like a couple of inches or 1.5 inches. So at that point it would flare a bit more, which I guess that's kind of what I would want. Are we going to do that then? So what I would need to do is I would need to attach this piece to this piece. And then I would need to flare this out like that. I would lose a lot of fabric in the process though if I was going to do that. If I was going to use this piece. And this doesn't have as much stretch this way as it does this way, which could be a bad thing. I'm going to just have a look at this seam just here. I'm probably going to make this armhole a little bit bigger, so if I take it from 1 inch down or something, and then if I put, where did that other piece just go? Just drop it. Oh no, it's here. Losing it. Losing the plot. Right, so if I put that along there, how much space extra do we have here? You see, it's not quite long enough anyway if I do that, so I won't use those then. What I'll have to do is I'll use half at the top and half at the bottom, and it won't be as wide at the bottom as I was thinking if I was going to use this. That works better. So what I need to do is think about how I'm gonna do that. I need to think about the shapes. So we've got rectangle from that piece, and it needs to be and I would say probably if it goes in a bit, that's fine. It's like a slightly wobbly rectangle. And then, yeah. I think once I start the thing is, I can't cut it twice. I can only cut once. I can't cut it bigger. I can only cut smaller. So, I'm trying to think about things before I actually make any cuts. And I can just pin things and drape it on myself. That is a thing I can do. However, I don't know where any pins are in this. Actually, no, I think I know where about 3 pins are, and that's it. Unless I have any in here. This is just embroidery thread. I don't think there's any in there. It's just embroidery threads. Yeah. Forever having a crisis with this. An ongoing crisis. Okay. Oh, that's a long one. Oh, hey. Right. So, that's going there. Throw that back over there for now. So I guess I probably won't use that piece of fabric that I have woven for this at all. So I can probably put that loom away before I do anything else. So I'll do that in my break as well, because it's kind of annoying and large just sitting there. But eventually I will figure out what that piece of woven fabric is going to be for. Eventually. Maybe I'll make it into a hat. Who knows? There we go. Oh, I ripped the fabric on there instead of the stitches. See, that's a problem. That can be a problem that you face sometimes with using this. If you're not looking at what you're doing carefully, you can rip through fabric and not stitches, like I just did. It mashes it up like that, see? Not good. So, thankfully it was only at the end though, so I would have lost about 1 inch of fabric from the end. So that's not too bad. But there we go. Yes, a good exercise in destruction. Sometimes you have to destroy something in order to create something. And eventually from the ashes, this will rise again as a new garment, much better than the one before. Or maybe not better, but just different. Hopefully more extra. That's what I want. Want it to be an extra garment. Okay, so now we have two sleeve cuffs, which are just rectangles like this. In fact, this one is made slightly wonky by the fact that it has rips in it, but also I think it was slightly wonky anyway. So it wasn't like a yeah. Look, that's not like a very neat rectangle. But once it's all folded away, you can't tell anyway. So yeah. So two rectangles, sort of. Um, and two sort of, I don't know what that shape is, like a squashed rectangle thing, like a loaf on one end. Uh, yeah, so we have that. And one thing that's a good idea is to try and remember which is the inside of the fabric, because it is hard to tell with wool, and they look the same on both, but they probably aren't exactly the same. Like, I think the inside is slightly less shiny than the outside. I think that's how you tell. I think that looks slightly less shiny. Like, I don't know. Don't know if you can see that, but this is the outside, the part that's folded, and this is the inside. So it looks like the same fabric, to be honest, on camera. Yeah, so I need to clean my workstation a bit, which isn't really a workstation, it's actually a dining table. But yeah, I need to clean my workstation, I need to eat something, and then I will probably come back with some actual stitching. If not today, then maybe tomorrow. We will see. But yeah, I need to take a break, so I will leave it there. And oh, I didn't even see I had chatters. Hello, chatters. Please do not take this wrong. You are saying, "Oh, that's nice of you." Sorry, I didn't see the chat there, but I appreciate the compliment. How did I learn to do this? Basically, I it's more out of necessity than anything else, because I like to wear costumes for LARP, because I do live action roleplay, as with many of my friends and people that I know online. And it's so much cheaper to start off with making your own costumes than you know, buying them all. Or if you buy a very simple garment and then you can make it your own and kind of alter it to fit what you want. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna have a break because see, did you hear that? That was my neck. um, yeah, and also I'm losing words now. So, thanks for watching, and I will be back again either later today or tomorrow with actual sewing, not just destroying things. We will see. Bye bye.